and welcome to episode 6 of the Lottie and Albert podcast. My name is Lindsey Newns and I am a crochet designer and editor from the Cotswolds in the UK. Welcome to my podcast. I'm going to be talking about works in progress, what I've been buying or acquiring, and finished objects, sort of. Today is a struggle. I filmed this introduction about 7 times and I am reluctant to do it again. I feel like I should just start, because whenever I start talking and get into it, it does seem to get better. But I'd like to apologise because I feel the tone has been set already for the podcast and that things may just continue in that vein. I'm just going to go straight in and start talking about one of my works in progress, because I started this since we last spoke a fortnight ago, which apparently is a British saying. I thought everybody said fortnight. No, it means 2 weeks, in case anybody doesn't know. Or do you say fortnight now? Who knows? Fortnight. It's even a fortnight, I said. A fortnight ago, I hadn't started this. Ready? Are you ready? It's still coming. Oh my goodness! This is a super chunky blanket, in case you can't tell, that I have been working on. This is based on my Lottie and Albert rainbow blanket pattern, which there's a free version, a basic free version on my blog, or there is a paid for version on my Etsy page, which includes 5 different blanket sizes and 5 different cushion sizes and all the yarn, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. I haven't used a rainbow, as you can tell. I call this my humbug blanket. This is using, I've already finished this ball, 6 strands of DK held together and worked with a 20mm crochet hook. And if you have watched any of the early episodes of the podcast, you will have seen when I bought these from an account called Novel Snob. I'll put all the description, all the links to things I'm talking about in the description box below in the show notes. So yeah, this is a really pretty, super chunky 20mm hook. And it's what I've been using to make this loveliness. Yeah, so I said 6 strands, 4 of which are white and 2 are black, to give this monochrome effect. Now this is actually a blanket for my sister-in-law, who, when she saw my rainbow blankets at the start of the year now probably, she really loved, and she asked if I could do one in monochrome. And I started one, and I decided I wanted to do slightly different stitch, and that's where the Boho blanket came from. And then, yeah, I kind of got carried away with other projects and sort of realised that I hadn't made her blanket. I mean, it is summer, as we know, and so she probably doesn't have much call for one at the moment, but it was her birthday at the start of this month, and I'm actually going to be seeing her next weekend. No, 2 weeks, in a fortnight. So I thought I'll finally do it for her, and I will give it to her as a present instead. Partly as an apology for how long it's taken me. So the top part, it's so big it's even hard to see, is using 9 balls of, it's just DK weight, and actually I use the Mariner DK, which is just £1 a ball, because I feel that although it's maybe not the softest yarn you've ever used, once you're working it up together with a 20mm hook in all this squishiness, you can't go wrong. You don't want to be using £5 balls of super soft marine. Well, maybe you do. Maybe you can afford that. I can't afford that. So I've used 9 balls, £1 each of the Mariner DK to make this. And then what you can see appearing here, this is going to be another section, which is going to be about a third of the length of the blanket, in mustard. Don't we all love a bit of mustard? In fact, there's a little bit of a mustard theme going on today. Mustard, and we've got a finished object which has got some mustard in. So yeah, and this actually is Stylecraft, which obviously is slightly more expensive, but I've used 3 balls of that and wound it to give me 6 strands together. Let me find the ball for you. So you can see I've hand wound it. And again, on the blog and the pattern, if you wanted to make one yourself, I know lots of people have, it tells you how to wind it. It's not rocket science, but This is actually quite a small one. When you have, I had 9 balls rolled together for this, and it's like, it's about this big. But yeah, lots of fun to make, and I forgot how quickly super chunky blankets like this worked up. They're a joy. Just a joy. So that's what I've been working on. I mean, inadvertently, I've sort of made her a blanket which matches my living room perfectly, but meh, that's a minor note. Maybe I'll just have to make myself one too. So yeah, this is using half treble crochet in the back loops only, which gives this really nice raised edge, sort of almost ribbed effect. One thing I would say, if you fancy doing some super chunky crochet, just get yourself a 20mm crochet hook and just play around. Like, you don't have to use DK. You can use maybe 3 chunky yarns held together, or 1 DK, 1 chunky, 1 super chunky held together. You could put a sparkly yarn in there, a fluffy yarn in there. I think it's a really fun way to play around with different weights, and provided you do have a play and work it out, I don't find crocheting with 6 strands of DK held together uncomfortable or tight, because in this kind of what's the word I'm trying to say, like tension and drape, it doesn't hurt your hands. It works up so quickly and so easily. So I definitely recommend just getting yourself a chunky hook and having a play around with holding different yarns and working them together. It's easier than you might think, but only thing I say is you might want to roll them into a ball together fast, just to save yourself getting in a massive tangle. Although, having said that, it doesn't seem to be helping me too much. So there we are. There's one of my works in progress, which you haven't seen before. Hopefully that will be finished really quickly. It's definitely working out really quickly. I have one finished object, which is not crochet related, I'm afraid. I'm also sorry if the light's doing weird things. I was like sat in direct sunlight, so I've tried to put up you can kind of see it here, a yellow scarf to block it out a bit, so I'm not blinded by the light. Here is my finished object. I have made 2 cushions for my living room. If you happen to follow me on Instagram, you might have seen in my stories that we've got a new sofa. And it's a very dark grey velvet, which sounds a bit, well, but I love it. It's really good. So I've made some cushions to go with it. This is a fabric that I've had for ages. I bought it on eBay, and it is, I think it's like a silk or a silk blend, and the listing said that it used to be a kimono wrap, and it was a very long thin piece. I don't know if you can see there's a seam here, because the piece of fabric was only about 50 centimetres wide, if that, maybe 45. The fabric was narrow and it was a very long thin strip. So in order to cover 2 of these little cushions, and I think these are only sort of 45 centimetre cushions, I've joined a strip here, but I tried to make a little feature of it. If you can see, I don't think you can see the seam very well, but it's beautiful fabric. The only slight thing is, can you see how the houses are the right way up here, but the trees are upside down? If I turn it this way, the trees are the right way up, but now my houses are upside down. So ever so slightly annoys me when it's on the sofa, because which way up is it? Which way up do they go? So there we are. That's my finished object. I think that, continuing my mustard theme, they possibly need some mustard tassels or pom-poms. What do you think? What's your vote? Tassels or pom-poms? Pom-poms are fun, but I wonder if this should be a more serious cushion. I'll show you what I did on the back. I just used, because I didn't have the same fabric, and also this is very, very thin. I thought to give it a bit of structure, I'd maybe need to use a different fabric on the back. So I've used this quite thick grey linen, and I've just done an envelope back, which I personally think is one of the easiest cushion closing techniques to do, just ever, because you don't have the faff of sewing in a zip or sewing on buttons. It does use slightly more fabric because obviously you need to have a bit of an overlap, but you can essentially just sew the back panel in a long strip I don't know what to your side panel, and then when you sew these two seams, you're sewing through a couple of layers here. Position it in such a way that, ta-da, you've got your envelope back. The only slight trouble is it didn't go very well on this side. This part here should have been sewn on top of here, so it's the wrong way, but it's just a little bit flappy. I think I can cope with it until I can be bothered to change it, which, yeah, if you know me, might not happen. It might just stay like that. So there we go. These are my finished objects. I will try and insert a snap of them on my sofa. There's a lot of mono and mustard going on in my life at the moment. So yeah, that's my one finished object. In terms of other works in progress, I have done a little bit more on my Berber Scarf, which again is quite a monochrome project. Here he comes. You will see that I have done a small amount of progress on this since last time. This is one edge of the scarf leading into this, which is the middle section, and then coming back round into pattern repeat. I've just done, can you see, I've just done the bobble stitches, which are really fun. So yeah, hopefully I'm not far off. Here we are, matching up. This is going to be a free pattern coming out soon. I'm going to put it on my blog, and it will also be on the Hobbycraft Knitcraft HQ blog. This yarn is just the softest. This is the Filda Cloud yarn, Fil Nuage. I think I've got some in here that Hobbycraft sell, and they kindly sent me to review, and then I decided it needed to become this Berber Scarf. Inspired by, somebody said on my on a post I put on Instagram, this scarf, oh my goodness, it reminds me of that rug that everybody seems to have, that Berber rug. And I said, yeah, that's because I bought that rug, because I'm such a trend follower apparently. I bought that rug and then basically based the scarf on it, so that was the inspiration. I'm feeling some tassels need to happen here, but I don't know if they should be in grey or in white. What do you think? Second question for you. First question was, should my cushion have pom-poms or tassels? Second question, should my tassels be grey or white? Cutting edge stuff here. That's what you can expect. And then I've just got this in my hip crochet bag, which was one of the gifts from the crochet boxes. I'm really sad that they don't seem to be reviving or coming back. They were a monthly subscription box of yarn and patterns and goodies such as this. Does anybody subscribe to any other monthly boxes? I tried the little box of crochet once as well, which I really love, and I think they have some great patterns, but I never seem to make the patterns. They were always quite little small things. Maybe that's just the nature of subscription boxes, but yeah, you subscribe to any yarn clubs? Not that I need to buy more yarn. Not that I need to buy more yarn. I'm sorry about the sun. Is it distracting? It's right in my eyes. So what's that so far? My super chunky humbug blanket, my Berber scarf. Ooh, I have been working on my scrappy blanket a little bit too. I feel like at the moment I'm loving all my whips, all my works in progresses. I just want to work on all of them. Normally I have like one which I love and a couple which I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to get those finished now. I just want to work on all of them, which is kind of great, but also kind of tricky because I feel like I'm not making any progress to show you. All that's happening is a few extra squares per week. But yeah, my scrappy blanket, you will see, is in this delightful bag. Can you see? It's got my name and ballet shoes. Now, if this looks like a bag that should belong to a 5-year-old, there is a reason behind that, because it did belong to me as a 5-year-old. My mum, I've mentioned before, is very creative and crafty and ran a fabric shop for many, many years, and still does mostly, although she's sort of semi-retired now. And she made this for me when I was little, and it's one of those things that I just haven't really been able to part with, or else she wasn't able to part with it and then came and dropped it around off at my house. But I can't throw this away, and I don't know any children called Lindsey, so what do you do with it? And then inspiration struck, and I thought, oh, it's a perfect project bag. So I'm now using this as my project bag. I've got another one down here, which I'll just show you quickly. I mean, this is even more, I think this was my gym bag when I was in primary school. How cute is it? Again, it says Lindsey and it has little sheep on it. So I've got some new purchases in there, which I can show you in a second. But yeah, this is the project bag. That used to be my ballet bag probably when I was about 5. And inside is my scrappy blanket. Progress on which, I don't know if there's even really any point in showing you, but I feel like I have to just to prove that I have been doing something. You've seen these before. These are what the final squares look like. This is my Atomic Flowers blanket pattern, which is a free pattern again. And yeah, just using scraps of DK. Do you want me to stop showing it to you until it's actually finished? I feel like it's very boring just to show you the same things again. This is me working one up. What that blue yarn's doing. This has got a nice sparkly one in the middle. Can you see the sparkles? A bit tricky. Nice sparkly one. So yeah, that's quite a nice little scrap project I've got on the go. Can you see? There's one that I'm not sure about this purple. I don't really feel that this purple goes. That one might not make it into the final cut. There's that sparkly yarn again. And there was, oh, and this one. What do you think? This one feels quite dark in comparison, or just maybe not jazzy enough. This is actually a cotton, so maybe I shouldn't be mixing cottons. I'm not one to observe rules, in case you hadn't picked that up already. And it's probably more laziness than it is creativity, but lots of yellow because she loves yellow. It's going to be a blanket for my little girl. That is my Atomic Flowers scrappy blanket in my new project bag. There you are, there's a new thing for you. And my kimono cardigan has not had any progress made on it. I actually took it with me last weekend, the weekend before, when we went to Hyde Park to see the Killers gig that I was telling you about when I was showing you my bag. Do you remember my bag from Heyday Crochet, which was part of the Technicolor Crafters swap shop? She sent me this amazing bag. I sent her a kit for a Lottie and Albert rainbow blanket, which I felt was a little bit like, oh, I feel like I've just sent her I don't know, a kit for one of my patterns, which is a little bit uninspiring and also a little bit not self-centered, but like egotistical. This is the best thing I've got to send you, a kit. But anyway, she seemed pretty happy with it. That's Elaine of Heyday Crochet. She sent me this bag, and I was talking last time about how I was going to wear it to the Killers gig, which I did, and it was perfect, and I loved it. She's since said actually that she's had quite a lot. This is what I did last time. Just a weirdo. Sorry about that. She said last time that she'd had lots of people asking about it, and so she was thinking of writing out the pattern. So check out her account if you are interested in making your own or buying your own, because I believe she sells them too. And there was a point to this, which was that I was talking about going to the gig. Oh, I've remembered my kimono cardigan. When we went to London, I took that in the car with me, and it was the only thing I took because I thought I can work on it then, and I'll have a good couple of hours car time, which is when I did most of this section. This is the Lakeside Loops Kenzie kimono cardigan. It's really crushed. Look at this. It's terribly how I treat my projects. I thought I'd have a couple of hours car time, and so I could work on it it didn't go very well because there is progress. Remember what it was like last time? There is progress. But when I first got in the car and started working on it, I thought, oh, I've gone wrong there, and ripped back basically the only 2 rows that I'd done and started making them again. And then after about half an hour or so, I was like, this doesn't seem to be matching up with the half I've already done. And because it had been a few weeks or months since I'd looked at the pattern, I'd forgotten that because I was making, there are several sizes in the pattern. She provides slightly different instructions for each size. And for the size I was making, which is the small, the very first instruction is skip to row 10, okay? Which previous me had done. And then me last weekend got to it and thought, that's not right, ripped it out, started again, and I just started at the start of the pattern and didn't skip to row 10. So I then had to rip back the 2 or 3 or 4 rows, it's quite long rows, that I'd just done, and start again properly at the point which, is this even making any sense, the point in which I was actually at in the first place. So it did not go to plan. I did not get a huge amount done, mainly because I spent most of my time crocheting and then ripping back rows. Yeah, there we are. It's also still very warm here in the middle of July, so I'm not in a massive hurry to make this. I mean, super chunky blankets are fine, but a cardigan is too unseasonal. So that will probably, it will definitely get finished because I'm really excited to wear it, but that is probably the one that's on the back burner most at the moment. I have also wound, do you remember the leopard print sock blank? I'll try and put a picture in if you haven't seen it before. That I got from, I'm having a mind blank, Becky. She's the only one of the people I speak to most online. Becky of Oh For Hook's Sake painted for me an amazing sock blank, which I requested, which was in leopard skin. And it was a double knitted sock blank. So I had the idea that I would try and make 2 pairs of socks at once. So obviously crochet socks, and clearly that would be using 2 different hooks, but I thought, well, that's okay, I can do it. And I started the toe of this sock, so it does still kind of look like leopard print, doesn't it? I always do that as if there's a focus. It does still kind of look like leopard print, but it wasn't working. I wasn't able to. Where I started working on this one, I was just then on the second strand from the sock blank. It was just tangling and it was already so long, so I thought I'm going to have to wind it. So I have wound both strands of the sock blank into 100-gram ball. So that's what you can see here. This isn't really like a project I'm working on, but I can't wait to make, I'm assuming socks, although I am kind of tempted to make a shawl or a scarf or something. My only issue with shawls is that I just don't wear them much. But there are so many great shawl patterns. It's a tricky one. So yeah, that's, I don't even know why I'm showing you this. It's not really a work in progress, and it's not a finished object, and it's not something I've recently bought. Should we pretend that it's in that category? Falls into that category. I mean, it's still gorgeous yarn, but it just doesn't look as pretty wound in a ball as it did on the sock blank, does it? Hopefully it will look pretty, well, I know it will look pretty as and when I work it up into something, so I just thought I would remind you of that. And then last but not least, I have a slightly unusual work in progress, which some of you may find strange, so I feel like it needs a bit of explanation. I am a bridesmaid for my friend at the end of the month, and we're going on a hen do next weekend, and one of the games that one of the other hens has come up with, I haven't heard of before, and it's maybe slightly strange. But you all basically have to bring a pair of pants. And so I'm British, so by that I mean knickers or panties or whatever other people call them. I call them pants, but I know that Americans, that's trousers for Americans. Anyway, we'll have to bring a pair of pants. New pants that remind us of the bride, or that it's like a jokey game. So all the pants are hung up, and then the bride-to-be has to guess which pair of pants have been brought by which person in the hen party. So there we go, that's the game. I'm sure it would be more fun than I'm describing it as, but I have never played it before, so it seems a bit strange to me. Anyway, I had no idea what to do for this. I was like, what pants can I get her? Like, I don't really have an association with her and pants or anything. So I was chatting to one of the other girls who's going on the hen do, and the other girl and I was saying, oh, maybe you could buy leopard print ones, because she's always wearing leopard print. And then in the next breath I thought, maybe I should make her a crochet pair. At least it's funny, and at least she'll know that they're from me, or hopefully be able to guess that they're from me. So decided I was going to make her a crochet pair of pants, and started looking. And could I find any patterns for crochet pants? No, I could not. I even tried looking for vintage ones. I tried searching for different terms like knickers or panties, whatever people call them, because pants was just coming up with like granny square patterns for trousers. And then it occurred to me that I was using the wrong search terms, because there is a massive amount of bikini and swimsuit patterns out there, and some really funky and really modern ones. And I started looking at all these patterns, and I ended up delving into this whole other sort of branch of crochet that I haven't really dipped my toe into previously, and it almost made me feel a little bit like, oh my goodness, like these patterns are amazing, these people who are coming up with them. And I found an Etsy account, I can't remember the name specifically, so I'll put it in a flash below so that you can see. And she has some really great patterns for swimsuits and bikinis, and so I bought one of her patterns. It was only a couple of quid, and I'm making it up, and I'm going to show you, but it really doesn't do her pattern justice, what I'm going to show you now. Okay, so this is the start, and this is just at the moment single crochet or double crochet in British terms. Sorry about the light, it's all gone a bit. As you can see, this is not the finished size of the pants, okay? So I've just worked this crotch section, and then I'm coming back round the back, and then there is another, when you work the waist, it kind of comes further out and is just sort of like strappy, and it's got a really pretty, which is why I chose it, like really pretty trim to it. So you will note that the colour is maybe a strange choice, but the reason I've chosen these two colours is when I first started crocheting, I'm really sorry about this light. I've got something hung up, but it doesn't seem to be helping. When I first started crocheting, my friend was the one who got me into it, really, and she came round to my house, and she was starting one of her first projects too, and she said, have you got any yarn I can use? And I had obviously some stashed away from when I used to do a bit of knitting, and just from my mum having given me some. So she ended up with these, almost exactly these two colours, and made a massive blanket out of them for her living room, and those colours went really well with her living room. So I had it in mind I wanted to make some pants for her, for this game, and I saw these two that I pulled out to make my Atomic Flowers scrappy blanket, and I just thought, oh, they are exactly the colours of the very first crochet project she did, and it was that crochet project and her being at my house crocheting that got me to crochet. So that's the reason behind the slightly strange colour choice. I'm just going to pause and see if I can rearrange and get out of the sun a little bit. Is that any better? I've like shoved myself in the corner of the room. This room is so lovely and light, if you can tell that from the video. It's got loads of windows, but yeah, the only downside is at this time in the morning, the sun is coming right through. So maybe I should film at like 8 PM at night again, like I did the last one. That was maybe better for not being in direct sunlight. So yeah, those are my crochet pants that I'm making. Not normally the thing I make, but I'm hoping it will be a bit of a laugh and a bit of a joke project. I might even get those finished today. So if I don't get to film before I go on the hen do, I'll definitely post a picture of them on Instagram if you would like to see how my crochet pants turn out. What do I have to show you next? Next I have to show you some new things. And again, I'm just going to blame my mum for this. I mentioned that she used to have a fabric shop, which was in the town that we lived in for many, many years. And she also stocked wool. And it was at a time when I didn't really crochet, and so I didn't really have much call for the wool. She's recently moved house, and she has just been sorting out her supplies. Her craft stash is insane. Like on a bordering hoarder kind of way, but it's insane anyway. And she'd put together some boxes of yarn that used to be in the shop that she wanted to sell, or just, you know, get rid of cheaply. So I stepped up to the plate and took one for the team and bought some of the yarn off her at a very reduced rate. But I don't need any more yarn. What's wrong with me? But I did it. It's done. It's done now. So I'll show you. I got 2 balls of this. King Cole inspired double knitting, which isn't maybe my normal colour palette to use, but it just seemed too fun to pass up on. No idea what to make for this. I'm thinking maybe it might make some nice fingerless gloves or something for Christmas presents for people. So there we are. That's that. It's like a pink and a red, almost like a bit of a thick and thin. So that's 2 of the things I bought. King Cole Inspire double knitting. I think they're pretty sure they're 100 grams. Oh, they're 35% cotton, 30% superwash wool, and 35% acrylic. Oh, that's quite nice. They do feel nice. So that's those 2. Then there was this really lonely ball of King Cole Galaxy, and you may recall if you watched the last episode. Was it the last episode or the one before? When I got my Scottish yarn haul, that I found a ball of the grey of this in a charity shop for like 50p. So lonely will it be no more. Yeah, again, no idea what this is going to be used for, but I love this yarn because it's got sequins in. I don't know how well you can see. It's got, and they're like quite firmly attached, so when you make a project it almost looks like you've sewn those sequins on, but you haven't. It's much quicker. And then I got 1, 2, 3, 4. What's wrong with me? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just 10 extra balls to add to my stash of this gorgeously fluffy and squishy King Cole Moments. This is like a sort of minky colour, and this is a kind of off-white creamy colour. And I did think that these might make another quite fun Berber scarf. So the one that I was showing you before in the filled yarn, where I've got the kind of colour. Look, hey, nice fluffy version. Either that, or I might make a cushion based on the same sort of pattern, based on that rug that everybody on Instagram has bought. So yeah, it's really fluffy, and I mean, I believe this is what we would call eyelash yarn. So you can see it's got like the central section, and then all these fluffy bits are coming off it. How well you can see that, sorry. There you are. And actually this can be quite tricky to crochet with, more so than I think knitting, just because, especially if you're maybe not a very experienced crocheter and you don't find it as easy to sort of see where your stitches are or recognise the shape of your stitches, all this fluff can be quite misleading and make it tricky. So I may, and also it's quite thin, what does it say? It says work it with 6mm. I guess that's just to give it the space to fluff. So I may hold another yarn with it, maybe a thicker cotton or something like that, when I'm working with it, just to make it easier to see, but then you'll hopefully still get the fluff factor. But I think this would also make a really gorgeous teddy bear, wouldn't it? Really nice fluffy teddy bear pattern yarn. So there we go. Just 13 extra balls to add to my stash because clearly I needed them. I feel like my mum is maybe my enabler. No, that's an excuse. I just like buying yarn. I have too many ideas, or I can see too many possibilities for things, and I forget that I just don't have time to even make them. But maybe I will one day. And when I do, I'll have it in my Lindsey bag, ready to go. So there we go. I thought I would finish up with doing a little book review. Now you may or may not have noticed that at the start of the video I introduced myself slightly differently, and well, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is I am an editor. That is what I do for my day job, and I always feel a little bit of a fraud introducing myself as a crochet designer. I mean, I have self-published designs, and I've had a design published with Hobbycraft, and I've got a design coming out in the August issue. Actually, it will probably be the October issue. It's coming out on the 17th of August of Molly Makes. So, to all intents and purposes, I can call myself a crochet designer, right? But I haven't been doing this for years, and it's not my main job. My main job is as a commissioning editor for publishers. And so I always feel a little bit like, I don't know, I'm leading a very unexciting double life, or I'm kind of pretending I'm a crochet designer when that's not really my main profession. And I would quite like to join them up in the future. I think it would be really fun to work for a craft book publishers, or just a publishers that does a bit more craft and lifestyle DIY books. I also would really love to get into magazines myself and work in magazine publishing. At the moment I'm in book publishing, and there are overlaps, but there's a lot of overlaps. A lot of the skill sets and that are similar, but yeah, it would be really nice, I feel, to bring everything together. And in that vein, I thought I'd talk a little bit about some of the craft books I do really love, because I don't know, maybe there's a reason that other podcasters don't, but if you would like to hear a book review, that's what's about to happen. If you wouldn't, then, you know, that's fine. You've made it 40 minutes through already. So I was going to talk to you about Molly Mills, Crocheterie. Just ignore the horrible pronunciation. You can tell me how it's supposed to be pronounced. This is a book I got at Christmas, and Molly Mills, if you haven't come across her, is an amazing designer, and she tends to specialise in really geometric, bold kind of tapestry crochet designs. So you can see on the back here some of her the things that are featured in the book. This book is quite unusual, and actually when I got it at Christmas I didn't realise, but all the makes are aimed towards men, which it doesn't specifically say, and clearly some of these things can be owned by women. Let's not be stereotypical, but the general vibe and the general focus is that they are aimed slightly more towards men. But look, just the styling and the photography and everything in this book is so gorgeous. Look at all those hooks lined up next to each other. I'd be chuffed just to take a photo like that, really. And all the tools and things you'll need are listed in the same way, same photographs. And yeah, she runs through, this is a really gorgeous cushion, one of my faves. So you can see how it's worked. It's all tapestry crochet. Holding the yarn, it's got charts. What are some of the other things that I love in here? She does really, she often uses belts, or recommends that you use belts as your straps or to wrap around things, which I think gives that really nice extra edge and looks really good. A rug, casually in the trees, where we keep all our rugs. That's a really nice one, checkered. Here's a fine looking chap doing some crochet in the woods, of course. What else? A fun poster. Apologies if anybody doesn't like swear words. I won't say it out loud. And yeah, just as I said, here's a nice example of how she uses the belts. Some really nice projects. A lot of them are chunky. Almost all of them are quite nicely geometric, or have that quite graphic feel and design. And I think the styling used in the book is really wonderful. And it's all got that kind of slightly hipster aesthetic and feel, this book. Quite rustic and woodsy, and also just fun. So this is some bunting she's made, and then she tells you how to spray paint it and make it into your own art. So quite modern and novel. And at the back she's got lots of tutorials of how to do the different colour changes. So they've thought 2-colour pillar surface in a tube. It's very well thought out, it's very well laid out, and all the photography and styling is beautiful. So this is a book I highly recommend, despite the fact that I am actually yet to make anything out of it. So is that terrible? Oh my goodness, I've just noticed this at the back. Section on crocheters stretching. Crafting for periods of time can leave you with stiff limbs and achy muscles. These exercises my brother, Passy, a yoga instructor, is demonstrating will help you loosen up. How cool is that? So go up to your local woods and do some stretches, everybody. No, but seriously, that's a really nice addition. What a lovely thought. So if you like contemporary and modern and geometric, if you like doing colour work, if you would like to make some gifts, possibly for the men in your life or possibly for yourself, then I really highly recommend this book. It is published by, probably should have looked that up first, Jackie Small, and it was published in 2015, printed in China by the Quarto Group. So there we have it. That's my slightly haphazard book review, but I thought it would be nice because I sometimes overlook books despite having them in my collection, and always look on Ravelry or online, and sometimes you can be trawling for ages trying to find a pattern, and then I have a little look in my books and say, oh, there's a pattern for a basic mitten, or oh, there's a pattern for a pot holder. Or sometimes I think that we can spend a lot of time trawling the internet when all the lovely publishers and designers have already done it for us in the books and put it together, and so we shouldn't overlook. Where do you get most of your patterns? Do you buy them online from independent designers, or do you buy them from books? Or do you follow YouTube tutorials? What's your preference? I'd be really interested to know. Mona Mills, she's done other books too that are definitely worth checking out, and I feel that I should have more of in my collection. There we are. Hopefully next time I see you I will have finished something other than a cushion, as beautiful as it is. I think my chunky blanket will be finished next time, and the pants definitely will. So, and the Berber Scarf. Gosh, these are big claims, big claims. So yeah, if you fancy coming back next time and checking on my progress, checking up on me, checking that what I've promised is actually materialising, that would be amazing. It'd be lovely to see you again. Please do leave me a comment or hit the thumbs up or subscribe if you have liked and enjoyed this. If you haven't, I would maybe recommend coming back next time anyway, just because I haven't been at my best today. I think we'll all agree this has been very, very haphazard and jumping around. But there we go. That's how it goes sometimes. Thank you so much to anybody who left a comment on my previous videos. My last video had an amazing amount of views. I don't know why. I was really pleased. So thank you if you watched, and thank you if you've come back and are watching again. It really makes me so happy to, yeah, be able to talk to you and hear your comments if they're nice. So yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you in a fortnight, 2 weeks time, and I look forward to catching up with you all again then. Thanks very much. Bye bye.